All right, so Sean Lyons is with me now from his home at Edwardsville, and I'm at my home in St. Louis. And Coach, what a surreal time this is for you and for your program. You were 3 weeks into the season, just 1 week into OVC play. In fact, you guys were on a bus or getting ready
we
to be
we
on the
were get
bus.
we were getting ready to get on the bus, and the weather was kind of iffy that day, and we were scheduled at like 2 in the afternoon, and we ended up practicing there in Edwardsville on Thursday afternoon and pushing our departure time back a little bit. And the news came in before we ever were actually getting ready to meet on the bus.
So, and that was the day for folks, if you think back, they remember, all the conference tournaments, some of them were kind of starting and then they were starting to get canceled and more canceled. What were you seeing and hearing as that was all going on?
It really started Wednesday night. We played at Missouri State on Wednesday afternoon, and as we were coming back on the bus, everybody's on their phones and the Twitter is just blowing up with, I think NBA was first. NBA was canceled. I think Wednesday night was the night uh, the NBA player, they pulled
Rudy
everybody.
Gobert. Yep.
Yes, I'm sorry on the name, but they pulled everybody off the court, and all that kind of stuff started happening, and so the dominoes started to fall at that point, and we kind of in the back of our head knew that this was coming down the line. And then on Thursday morning, you started seeing different conferences start suspending their seasons and so forth. And you know, it hadn't come across yet for the OVC, but you kind of knew that at some point in time it would.
What was, what I'm sure there was a huge range of emotions from your guys. What was some of that like when you had to kind of address this whole thing?
Well, I think it was shock. Is the same as what I said before. I think we all knew that it was coming down the line, but nobody wanted to believe. Uh, and so then when you break the news, obviously there's the initial heartbreak, frustration, uh, and just that whole, and some guys still in shock, like, is this for real? And uh, so you had the whole gamut of emotion, to deal with, and it was tough because not only did it move fast for uh, the season to be suspended and eventually canceled, what also moved fast was the nation, the world's reaction to this whole pandemic. And it was like no sooner did your season get suspended and canceled, now you're being asked to isolate and stay at home and whatnot. So everything has happened so fast, and just trying to do our best as coaches to communicate with our players and just check in on everybody.
And how have you done that? Has there been anything that's been scheduled, regimented, or is it just kind of you get together as you can?
We just kind of get together and check in with guys as you can. Text messaging is the instantaneous way to go about it. And, using this,
Right.
who knew? I knew nothing about Zoom until less than a week ago. And I think this is a great way. We've not done a full team collaboration of something like this, but that's, something that could easily be done. And I'm sure there's teams across the country that are using things like this. But for now, for us, it's just texting and communicating with guys, checking in on them, and now they're back to school, really. And just trying to check in and make sure the transition of going to online classes, when their communications with different professors is going okay so that they can get through this, the remainder of the semester.
Yeah, and I think maybe that's something that folks don't know, that it was spring break right before the university made
We're
the quick
on spring
decision they were
break
going to
at the time,
extend it.
yes.
Yeah, so they extended it by about a week, but really now, as you said, they're trying to adjust to a new normal of attending class, much as you and I are talking, probably.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think it's different for everybody. You're dealing with, professors that have been doing online classes a lot, and then you have some that have not. But the reaction I've gotten from our players and the communication is that it's been very positive, and that they've been really pleased with the communication that they have gotten from their professors in trying to make the best of a really tough situation for everybody that's involved.
How about for the Lyons family? I know you have a young family and your wife is in education as well. What's life been like for you and for the family?
Well, it's been excitement. Let's just put that. Never a dull moment. And it's they've got school and they're getting adjusted to the e-learning. And my kids are doing Zoom meetings with their classes just like this. Not necessarily on a daily basis, but they've done, I think, one or two so far. But we get up and we do school for a couple hours, and dependent upon the weather is what has really made the days easy or a little more difficult.
Tough, right?
When it's cold and rainy, which it was a couple days, they get a little stir crazy. But we've had our fair share of wiffle ball games out in the cul-de-sac with my two kids, and we've taken more walks, my wife, us as a family, just in these last 2 weeks than we probably have in a calendar year, with the amount of time that we as coaches spend away from.
And I think that is, I don't want to call it a silver lining or a blessing in disguise, but I guess because, I'm in the same situation that we spend a lot of time at the office, on the road, within the jobs. And so the increased family time has been something that has been, different for us as well.
Yeah, but it's been a joy.
Hmm.
It is, and it's an adjustment for all. And I think other coaches talk about their wives and kids are probably not used to dad being home as
Right.
much as we have been. But no, it is good to and actively be involved in their learning at school. You get a little better feel of what it is that they're studying in their classes, and things of that nature. And Jill and I right now are really fortunate, not fortunate, but we're in that stage where, Landry's in kindergarten and really starting to pick up some new things. And you start to see his growth even in 2 weeks. And my daughter, with a little more time at home, has had some more time to use her creative side in the arts and stuff that she loves to do, and drawing and things like that. So it's really been a positive.
You made the comment, when talking about SIUE and your players and the communication. I've been impressed, not just with SIUE, and certainly I have with the faculty and with the staff, but even with, my kids' school and schools everywhere, how fast they were able to pivot and turn things from, hey, we're going to sit in a class every day, to we're going to do something completely different. And it's just been really impressive to me.
Yeah, it's technology,
Right.
it has really changed everything that they're doing in the classroom, and what we have at our disposal, if you will. And for me, my works in the education side, and she's been right there in the front lines on coming up with ways to
Right.
help address curriculum and things like that for uh, the different teachers and whatnot. So I get to see a little bit behind the scenes and what's going on right now. She's listening to Governor Pritzker talk about what their plans are for the remainder of the schools here in Illinois, and and that's going to have a major effect on her job and what she does moving forward here over the next few weeks or months.
Let's pivot a little bit back to
Yeah.
your guys. What, have you been able to direct them or talk to them about, anything they can do physically or staying in shape?
Well, yeah, absolutely. We encourage it. What has been really, difficult, and this is what these guys have had to adjust with. You're talking about whether it's our sport or softball or whatever sport it may be. These kids are, student athletes that they are used to being busy from 7 in the morning until 6:30 at night or later, obviously, if they're studying. But now they aren't, because uh, state shutdown, they're unable to use, you know, SIUE facilities. And then it came down from the city of Edwardsville. Some of those parks and things of that are shut down, and guys are trying to, whether it's play catch, they want to take ground balls, they want to, throw bullpens, finding a place to do that. And then at the last weekend, places to work out shut down. And so guys are used to lifting weights and doing things like that. It's making it difficult. Now, our strength staff did a great job of sending information to our guys. Here's some alternative lifts and workouts that you can do, whether it's just, the running workouts, or if you want to call them body weight or more explosive jumping and things like that, that they can do during this time frame. So it's kind of been an all hands on deck and trying to help them. And one thing that, yeah, not necessarily our fans would understand, you got guys that are up in the air on the MLB draft, and they're trying to stay in shape and need to continue to throw, and not having things at their disposal. It's making it difficult for them, but I think they're all managing. And as I've talked to them, they've all been in positive spirits for the most part, and handling this in a very mature manner.
There are so many questions. You mentioned obviously MLB draft, and we don't even know obviously what the status of that, what the draft might look like when it does happen. Also don't know, what the NCAA might full on decide about, if there's going to be extra eligibility, if you're going to have an increased roster size or anything like that. So there are a ton of questions that remain for you and for the staff. And for
a ton of questions. I've had conversations with our administration, as they're sitting in on these, the meetings and getting more and more information from the NCAA. They want my perspective, and that is much appreciated, that they at least want to hear what us as coaches are thinking. So that's been great. I literally just got off the phone before talking with you, with a member of Baseball America. Joe told me to tell you hello.
Okay.
And just wanting to get perspective on what coaches are thinking, and I'm trying to get a little information what they're hearing about it. But yeah, there's a lot of questions that have got to get answered. And the hard part is we live in a time right now where everybody wants it right now. We want to find the answer right now. And one thing that I have appreciated about the whole thing is that we've taken a little bit of a feeling of, let's step back, assess, let's find out what's going to be best for our student athletes, and then we'll make a decision, rather than just rushing into a decision, right away.
Well, Coach, I really appreciate some time. I've enjoyed kind of catching up, and like I've told some other folks, it is nice to see somebody, as opposed to just talking on the phone. And we're used to it. We're used to seeing each other.
Absolutely. And I tell my wife this, as we're eating corn dogs and chicken nuggets every day for lunch, I miss going out to lunch with the other members of the SIUE staff like that. We do that, not every day, but a majority of the times. And those are the relationships truly maybe you've taken for granted, that you realize when time is taken
100%
and whatnot. But yes. And our, as we'd always pop down in the office and do our little baseball chat. And
for sure,
crazy that yesterday was opening day and no baseball. You can see over my shoulder, I got my Cubs stuff down here in the basement, but I got
there may or may not be a little Cardinal stuff right there as well. Yep.
See it back there. And this week they had the game 5, game 6, and game 7 on MLB Network of that 2016 World Series. So I got a little fix in.
Something to wet your whistle.
That's right.
Coach, thank you.
Got it, Joe. I appreciate the time.